Imagine you're in bed. The house is totally silent. The whole world outside is asleep. But in that deep, quiet dark, you can just feel it. Something is wrong. Something is moving, low to the ground, right there in the shadows where you can't quite see.
It's a really strange thought, isn't it? The simple act of where you sleep, just a few feet higher or lower, could literally be the difference between waking up in the morning and, well, not waking up at all. You see, this isn't just some ghost story. It's more like a survival guide disguised as a nightmare. So you're going to want to stick with us because the truth behind this monster is way more real and, frankly, more clever than you can possibly imagine.
Okay, let's dive right in. To really get a handle on the killer, we first have to understand the curse. Picture a traditional home in South Africa, where a very specific kind of terror just waits for the sun to go down.
It always starts small, an unnerving little sound from the corner of the room. Maybe objects move on their own. It's the kind of thing you try to brush off, but that feeling of being watched, it just won't go away. And then you might feel it. A chill in the air that has nothing to do with the temperature. Or maybe you'll catch a glimpse of it, just out of the corner of your eye. A dark shape, small and fast, moving just above the floor. And all of that leads to this. This is a crucial, life-saving precaution. In so many homes, beds aren't just beds. They're like tiny fortresses. They're placed on top of sturdy bricks to lift the sleeper up high. It seems like a superstition, right? But for generations, it's been seen as the only way to stay safe. But safe from what?
Well, this nightly terror, this invisible threat that has literally shaped how people build their bedrooms. It has a name. It's a creature from Zulu folklore, and it's called the Tokoloshe.
So the Tokoloshe is basically the go-to explanation for all this nighttime dread. It's the things scratching at the walls, it's the cold presence, and it's the reason you absolutely must not sleep close to the ground. But what does this thing even look like? Traditional accounts, like the ones recorded by the famous Zulu healer Credo Mutwa, give us some incredible detail. The Tokoloshe is almost always described as being short, really powerful, almost like a chimpanzee or a gremlin. It's furry, it's got this distinct bony ridge on its head, and probably the most terrifying part, it has glowing red eyes that just watch you from the dark.
And make no mistake, this is not some mischievous little spirit. The Tokoloshe is viciously cruel. It seems to love terrorizing children, leaving these long, deep scratches on their bodies. It's known to choke people in their beds, commit horrific assaults, and people say it's an unstoppable fighter. We're talking about a truly malevolent being here.
But this is where our story takes a really sharp turn. We've talked about the myth, the folklore, the monster. Okay, now let's talk about the reality. Because there is a very real, very invisible killer in that room.
So, before we get to the big reveal, just take a second and think about it. What do you think is really at the heart of this? A genuine spirit? Some kind of cultural ritual? Or could it be something in the environment itself? Have a think. And here's the answer. In many of these traditional homes, warmth comes from an indoor wood fire that burns all through the cold night. A major byproduct of that fire is carbon monoxide, a silent, invisible gas. Now here's the crucial part. Carbon monoxide is denser than the air around it. So where does it go? It sinks. It forms a deadly, invisible layer right there on the floor, exactly where people sleeping on traditional mats would be breathing all night long. And when you put the belief and the reality side by side like this, it's just brilliant. The folklore is a perfect metaphor for the science. A short creature that attacks people on the floor? That's the carbon monoxide. Raising your bed on bricks to get out of its reach. That physically lifts you above the layer of poison gas. The story of the Tokoloshe is, at its very core, a highly effective public health warning, passed down for generations.
So, okay, if we know the answer is carbon monoxide, that brings up a whole other question, right? Why does the legend of the Tokoloshe stick around so powerfully? Why not just tell people about the gas?
Well, for one thing, it's just more effective. I mean, what are you more likely to remember and tell your own kids? A complicated chemical explanation about gas density? Or a terrifying story about a gremlin that will get you if you sleep on the floor? The myth gives a real face to an invisible threat. It provides an answer for these sudden, tragic deaths that would otherwise be completely baffling.
But there's an even deeper reason too. The Tokoloshe isn't just a stand-in for a gas. As the author Rachel Zadok gets into with her novel Gem Squash Tokoloshe, these kinds of beliefs are fundamental to how we build our reality. The creature becomes more than just a warning. It becomes a kind of vessel. Yeah, the Tokoloshe becomes a place to put all the things that are just too difficult to face head-on. In literature and psychology, it's seen as this outside figure you can blame for tragedy. It's a way to project and manage the, bad parts of yourself. Your guilt, your fear, your trauma. It's a container for the unbearable, giving a face to our inner demons, which somehow makes them feel more manageable.
So, think about the journey we've just been on. We went from a monster under the bed to a lesson in atmospheric physics, and then all the way to a deep dive into human psychology. The Tokoloshe is really a perfect example of how folklore works on so many different levels at once. And that really leaves us with this final thought. We often think of fear as something we need to get over, but sometimes the story that terrifies us is also the very story that protects us. The fear of the Tokoloshe has, without a doubt, saved countless lives by teaching one simple, unforgettable lesson: don't sleep too low.
And this idea of folklore as a survival guide, it's a global thing. So you should definitely follow us, because in our next explainer, we're going to connect the Tokoloshe to a terrifying entity from a totally different part of the world that actually serves a very similar life-saving purpose.
And hey, if you enjoy these kinds of deep dives into folklore that skip all the fluff and get right to the heart of the story, make sure you ring that notification bell. You are not going to want to miss where we go next.